How long until Black Clover ends? That is a question that everybody has been just trying to figure out since Black Clover switched over to Jump Giga and went quarterly due to Tabata and his family's health. And I think I might have an idea as to how many chapters this series will have left and by when it will end. Because with the amount of chapters that we're getting every couple of months, as this is quarterly, there isn't a full concrete way and there's only speculation. And that's basically what this video is, but I think I have a pretty decent idea as to how many chapters we will get left of Black Clover. Plus, the anime is going to come back most likely the earliest next year, 2025, since it seems Studio Perio might end up making this series seasonal, as they're doing with Bleach 1000 Year Blood War, which means we'll still have Black Clover even in between the whole quarterly release schedule of the manga. So Black Clover ain't really going anywhere until the anime makes its actual conclusion. Before we jump into things, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. Really helps and shows you guys enjoy the content I make here on the channel and shows you want to see more. With that out of the way, let's just jump right into this discussion. So Black Clover and its quarterly release schedule. The thing is, with this quarterly release, Tabata has roughly 50 chapters, 55-ish at max, every quarter, so every 4 months, as the first chapter we got in this quarterly release was back in December, and most recently at the time of recording we had chapters 370 and 371 on April, which means that at least we can get 1 to 2 chapters every 4 months for Black Clover. Now, the possibilities could end up being that Tabata might end up having more chapters, or just have singular chapters with just 50-ish pages. But I think at least we'll be in the 2 chapter range, as that seems to be the more comfortable for Tabata, and it probably will give him more time to not only condense things, but also try and make it as neat as possible for each individual chapter, as the coming chapters are just going to be concluding the fights for Black Clover. I've already made a video at the time of recording this on what final fights still need to happen for Black Clover, and as of right now, I do think that that is a guidepost as to how many chapters we got left of the series. So I'm going to use those final fights as a guidepost as to how many chapters we have left, and then I'll calculate how many years that'll end up being until Black Clover makes its actual conclusion. So in this list of just fights that we're going to see, we have Noelle versus Aesir, Vanessa and Gray versus a Lucius clone, Sakura, Finral, Charmy, and Zora each fighting a Lucius clone each, Gordon, William, and Charlotte against a Lucius clone, Gauche and seemingly Rill against a Lucius clone, Henry against a Lucius clone, Ichika most likely against a Lucius clone, and Noct against Morgan, with Yami being thrown in the mix as well, with finally Asta and Yuno taking on the real Lucius up in his fortress in the upper atmosphere on his throne. So with that, we got 10 individual fights seemingly for the rest of Black Clover if we follow this. So that means if we go with the route of 1 fight per chapter, that's 10 chapters left. However, I don't think that's going to be the main thing, because Asta and Yuno versus Lucius is definitely going to be at minimum 3 to 4 chapters. So we'll go with the advent of 3 to 4 chapters for that final fight against the big bad. We could have Noelle versus Aesir be 2 chapters, maybe 3, but let's keep it at 2 chapters because that will probably be one big event for one of these quarters. Vanessa and Gray will probably have 1 chapter in their fight, Gauche's fight, Henry's fight, as well as Gordon's fight will most likely be 1 chapter each, so that'll be another 3. We got Ichika and Noct in their individual fights, so those could end up being, I'd say 3, because Yami's going to pop in one or both of these fights, and we'll probably get some really core emotional moments, so that'll probably be another 3 chapters. Now here's the interesting thing that I am thinking. With the 4v4 of the Lucius clones against Sakura, Finral, Charmy, and Zora, those could each either be their own individual chapters, or each of these fights will share a chapter and be one giant group brawl with some form of strategy. If we end up adding it as 1 chapter per fight in that spread, that'll be 4 chapters. But I do think with the fighters that we have in this instance, I can dial it back down to 2. Just based off of 1 being trap magic, 1 being sealing, 1 being portal magic. We just have 1 individual fighter as a straight up brawler, which could have their own chapter dedicated to their fight, which is Charmy. So I do say give us 2 chapters for this section, because I don't really see this being extended into 4 separate chapters. So I say 2 chapters for this whole instance. We can be generous with 3 and give Charmy 2 chapters, but I say 2 is the best we can go for with this. And finally, after all that is said and done, we'll most likely have 1 quarter, which let's say 2 chapters of just picking up the pieces, settling things, and just having everybody be healed up and laying down the groundwork for how the future of the Clover Kingdom and the world will end up going for the conclusion of the story. So I'd say 2 chapters. And then finally, to cap off the story, we will have Asta versus Yuno for the title of Wizard King. So that will probably be, I want to say Tapata would want to make this as big of a fight as anything else and make it for all the fans that have been following the series for the last decade plus of Black Clover's publication. So let's be generous and give it roughly the same amount of chapters as most likely the Lucius fight at the end of the final arc, but with the amount of emotional resonance and the fact this is a full-on rivalry that's going to be concluded at the end of the series, making it a chapter or 2 longer just feels right. So I would say make it 5 chapters, and then we have the final epilogue be the last chapter to come out right after the conclusion of Asta versus Yuno. So with the final fight of that instance plus the epilogue, that is 6 more chapters. So I would give Black Clover, in my honest opinion, and obviously this could be entirely wrong, 23 chapters left before the series makes its conclusion, which by my math would give Black Clover about 4 years left of publication. But that's only if we just add 1 more chapter to the overall, so making it 24, just to make things relatively even. And that is only going off the basis that Tabata is going to be giving us 2 chapters every 4 months. Obviously, that could end up being more, that could end up being less. But I think keeping a schedule of 2 chapters every quarter gives Black Clover about 4 years out to publication. And by that point, the anime will probably be reaching its final season to adapt the full-on finale of the series and the final arc based on what we have right now with the manga. So I think that pans out roughly in a clean spot, ending the manga most likely in 2028, 2029, if I'm getting things right, depending on last-minute breaks or hiatuses if that were to ever to happen in the future. Now, obviously, this is just rough estimations. This could obviously be longer or shorter. Things could end up being changed like I just mentioned, but this is my own guesstimate as to how long Black Clover has left in publication and how many chapters left it'll have, in my own personal opinion. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Take everything I say in this speculation video with a grain of salt. I just wanted to get this out there as something that I've been thinking about for a little while now, ever since the recent chapter had released. But what do you guys think? How do you think these next couple chapters of Black Clover are going to pan out? How many chapters do you think we have left in a realistic sense? And how many years until Black Clover releases its final chapter and reaches its conclusion? Let me know in the comment section down below. And if you haven't already, like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. Really helps, and it shows you guys enjoy the content I make here on the channel and shows you want to see more. And with all that said and done, I hope you all have an awesome day.